We are going to be moving on to stage 4, but first I'd like you to take a look at page 193, Understanding Automatic Color Correction. Yes, you can do automatic color correction in the curves dialog box, but I'm going to say that it isn't always a completely satisfactory result. Autotones, autocorrects are not 100% foolproof. They depend on an algorithm that may or may not come out exactly what you want. Read through it so that you understand it. Also, on the next page, you have understanding the match color adjustment. Actually, that match color adjustment works fairly well. It adjusts luminance, color intensity, fader, and you've got a neutralize checkbox to remove color cast, and you can work that out quite well, but you do have to have a really good image that you're going to be matching. So read through it, experiment with it if you'd like, and then we'll be moving on to page 195, Preparing Images for Print. You have to grasp this idea that there are different ranges or gamuts that produce different colors than what we actually see. So the image on page 195 is a fair representation, only a fair representation of most of the colors that we're able to see. Now, if you look at RGB, which is that white outline on the outside, you're going to see that there's a lot of colors left out of that, things that we can see but can't be reproduced on screen. And then if you look inside of that, the inner white thing is the CMYK colors, so that's a lot less that we can print than what we can reproduce on the screen. And then there are the Pantone colors, which are those specially mixed inks that will give you a better variety, but you can also see that that's still not going to reproduce a lot of their blues. There's still a lot of lavenders that are missing, and especially in oranges. Oranges are horrible to try to print. So you can see there's a lot that's not available. So we do have to do some type of color management. I'm going to demo the color management stuff that's in the book. Read the section on color management in theory and practice. Printing is just a different thing that we can't reproduce here. We just don't have the available tools for this, but I do want to go through and have you work through this section, and then we'll be going back to adjusting colors. We're going to start by defining color settings. So we don't want anything open. We're going to go into Edit, and we're going to choose Color Settings. In your color settings, we're going to choose some standardized settings that most publications would be using. We are going to choose North American Pre-Press 2. And in Working Spaces area, choose the RGB profile. You may have one for the monitor that you're using. So like I could probably find mine because of the monitor that I have, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and stay with Adobe RGB 1998. In the CMYK menu, we want to choose US sheet fed coded version 2. There are a lot of different profiles for that, and if you are employed at a printing company, you will have specific setups for this. Leave the gray and the spot working spaces at their default settings. Dot gain compensates for the spread of the halftone dot on a grayscale image. In the color management policies area, make sure that RGB is turned off. Preserve embedded profiles should be selected for CMYK and for gray. All of the check boxes underneath should also be selected. On the right hand side, the engine is the thing that determines the system and color matching method. So we are leaving ours on the Adobe Ace, and we'll leave everything the way that is set up. Click Save in the color settings, and you'll get a navigation dialog box. Change the file Save As file name. Instead of untitled, you're going to save that to museum.csf. We're saving a color setting. In the comments box, use this option. For Photoshop, Museum Image Adjustment Project, and I can select OK, and I can select OK to close that dialog box. That's going to apply those settings to my machine. And then I'm going to look at the next image and identify out of gamut colors. I'm going to open this one, which I can't pronounce, Fiance, and we're going to get an mismatched profile warning. Choose Use the embedded profile instead of the working space. Choose View Proof Colors to turn that option on, and then go back in and turn it off again. In View, select Gamut Warning. We're going to look at adjusting the highlight and the shadow points for printing, leaving that still visible. Go to Image, Adjustments, and choose the curves again. Double-click the white point eyedropper. In the resulting color picker, change the CMYK values to C is 5, tab, to magenta 3, yellow 3, black 0, and click OK. Keeping that white point eyedropper selected, click a white area in the image background, so anywhere that you know is white. Then double-click the black point eyedropper, and in the dialog box, change the target shadow values to C80, M70, Y70, and K70, and say OK, and click the darkest area of the image where you want to maintain shadow detail. They selected this area, which I have to admit is pretty dark, and then click OK. Click No in the warning. Now toggle off the gamut warning. Next, go into Image and select Mode, and select CMYK color. We're going to convert to CMYK. We're using the US SheetFed coded profile, and select OK. Go to File and Save As. Save on my computer again, and I'm going to change this to CMYK. and I'm going to save this as the Photoshop file, which is going to be a little bit larger file. Make sure that the ICC profile is checked. That's a rather large file, and we probably don't need that to be that large, so you might want to go into your image size and change this from a 300 pixel 9 megabyte file down to 100 pixels per inch, which is going to change that down to a 1 megabyte file. Say OK to that, and then resave your image. And then you can close that file. I'd like you to read the section on page 206 about converting images to grayscale and about using the channel mixer adjustments. I do want to show you something. I'm going to actually bring up, let me open one of those last files that we played around with, and how about let's bring up the original Fiance image just because, and I'm going to use the embedded profile. That's perfectly fine. But what I want to do with this is, okay, look at the colors that we have here, and suppose we wanted to, for some unknown reason, we wanted to change that to black and white. If you go up to Image and Mode, you can pick a grayscale and discard black and white, and it looks like this. Now, there is just not a whole lot of anything to be impressed with doing that. So let me undo, and instead I'm going to go into Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to pick up black and white. Now what black and white does is it brings up this dialog box, and you can then adjust the intensities of different colors. We had some beautiful blues in there. So what if I were to enhance the blues that were in there? Maybe we had some cyans. Did we have any cyans? Maybe I can adjust those. I don't really see a lot of changing, so maybe I'd want to lighten those. Were there reds? I don't remember. Yes, we had some reds in there. Look at the amount of vibrance that we can pull up by making changes according to what the colors were that were in the image. I'm sure there were greens. Weren't there greens? Apparently not. Yes, there were some. Or there was something that had some green tones in it. So I'm going to say OK to that. So look at the change that we did on this. Let me pop through my history. That's the black and white that I resulted with that. That was what it looked like when I opened it. Oh yes, see there's magentas in there, and there are a few greens. And this is a nice cyan and kind of turquoisey look in there. But look at the change that we did with that compared to what that other pasty image was. So you have much more control by using the black and white, and then you would go into your image because it's still in RGB and go into mode and change to black or to a grayscale to get rid of all the other channels. Then you only have a gray channel. You don't have the other ones. So I wanted to show that to you. And then we'll move on to stage 5.